Timmy, defense, push it backwards. He's trying to get out of it, Timmy's had enough. Take it out, Timmy. Work in there. Work. Yes, again, Timmy. Middle.
Also, boys.
Terence, what'd you think, man?
Just they have it. From the jump, you can tell that his balance was off. He was reaching. You know, just they have it tonight.
You know, do you think it was a layoff? Do you think it was a combination of things? Like, what do you think?
Probably all of it.
All of it? Yeah.
He didn't take the punches well. He was slow. Like, you could just tell that Tim was more fresher.
Was it hard for you to watch?
Kinda. You know, I really wanted him to do real well. He did what he had to do to finish the fight, though. You know.
Hopefully he comes over here.
On Errol. All the best, Errol. You're a legend, mate. God bless.
I think he announced that he's not going to fight in the ring anymore. Obviously, you think that's the right decision based on what you saw here tonight, right?
Yeah, he's been in a lot of wars, you know, with his fighting style. Come forward, take some punishment, dish some punishment, and try to break somebody down. That type of style, you know, it only goes so far.
No, we don't want to spar.
He done.
Damn, you ripping
Taco meat! Adrian! Taco meat! Broner!
What are you doing? You getting naked? We don't want to hit.
Uh-oh.
Pay attention to check, huh?
I don't know what's going on. What's about to happen?
Second round.
That's the first thing he said, was that like I think physicality was the difference, you know. I was starving myself to get to 154, and I feel a big difference at 160. I feel like I just feel much stronger, you know. One of my big things is strength, being able to bully my opponents, and I felt like that's what I did. I was actually a bit in shock. I thought, you know, Errol Spence was a legend again, but how I felt in front of him just felt completely different. Yep.
First off, congrats. It's a big name to have on your resume. Overall, how did you feel about the performance you had? Were you happy with what you did in the week?
No, I think I can do better. I think I need to let my hands go a bit more. I could have. I felt like I could have stopped him. I felt like it was there for the taking. But look, I'm pretty happy with beating a legend, Errol Spence, in one of the biggest fights of Australian boxing history. You know, it's pretty cool. I don't think it's sunk in yet.
How does power feel?
Nothing. Like, he was strong, but like, I don't know. It was nothing like I've never felt before.
Johnny Lewis, what do you think of that?
Good performance by Tim. I thought he controlled it and dictated it. I thought he won well.
What do you make of Jeff in his corner? Obviously, a victory is a great thing.
Well, he's a lot better than what he's had in there in the past.
What's it like to see this happen, this event, and a victory like this? What's it mean for you to see something like this in Australia?
Well, it's breathing fire into our sport, so wonderful, wonderful.
Did you see it as wide as the cards were? Did you see it as wide as the cards were?
I never had a doubt that he won. I thought he went capable.
Nah, it wasn't the way I hoped it would go. It was a tough fight, a long fight, but it was cool. Was able to go 12 rounds and I finished the fight. So it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So much respect to Tim. He's what I expected. He's what I expected.
What did he do really well?
He was timing real well, and my timing was kind of off.
Was that the 3 years off, or was?
It could be. I'm not gonna use that as an excuse. Tim did the same tonight.
Where you evaluate where you're at boxing career-wise now, Errol? Do you think about retirement, or do you still want to fight?
Nah, man, I'm not. There's no reason to fight, man. I asked a lot of questions tonight for myself personally, and going 12 rounds and realizing how long that 12 rounds was, it's time to hang them up because that 12 rounds isn't that long. But it was a long 12 rounds tonight, so it's time to to hang them up.
Errol, back here. It's been 3 years since you stepped back in the ring. How did those first few rounds feel for you?
The first 3 rounds, it felt okay. I wasn't nervous or anything like that. The first 3 rounds felt okay. After the fight, I was sore. I don't remember 12 rounds feeling like that. That's how I knew it's time to hang them up. You can't be off that long and then come back and think you can fight a 12-round fight. With a caliber opponent like that.
You came back though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I came back because, I came back. Went 12 rounds. I came back because, we in an era where people are scared to fail. We're in an era where everything's on social media, everything's getting recorded, and people are scared to jump out and do things and dare to do stuff because they're scared that it's gonna get posted and people laugh at you and things like that. But the same people who laugh and make funny jokes on social media and stuff never really done anything with their life. So, that's where it's at, because I'm sure, people have things to say and this and that, but I'm sure they wouldn't have the guts to do what I did, come back and fight a quality opponent like Tim Tszyu in his backyard and go a whole turnaround and put on a great show. Nah, it wasn't the way I hoped it would go. It was a tough fight, a long fight, but it was cool. Was able to go 12 rounds and I finished the fight. So it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So much respect to Tim. He's what I expected. He's what I expected.
What did he do really well?
He was timing real well, and my timing was kind of off.
Was that the 3 years off, or was?
It could be. I'm not gonna use that as an excuse. Tim did the same tonight.
Where you evaluate where you're at boxing career-wise now, Errol? Do you think about retirement, or do you still want to fight?
Nah, man, I'm not. There's no reason to fight, man. I asked a lot of questions tonight for myself personally, and going 12 rounds and realizing how long that 12 rounds was, you know, it's time to hang him up because that 12 rounds isn't that long, but it was a long 12 rounds tonight, so it's time to, to hang them up.
Errol, back here. I know it's been 3 years since you stepped back in the ring. How did those first few rounds feel for you?
The first 3 rounds, it felt okay. I wasn't nervous or anything like that. The first 2 rounds felt okay. After the fight, I was sore. I don't remember 12 rounds feeling like that. Like, that's how I knew like it's time to hang him up. Like, you can't be off that long and then come back and think you can fight a 12-round fight. You know what I'm saying, with a caliber opponent like that.
Came back though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I came back because I came back. Went 12 rounds. I came back because, we in an era where people are scared to fail. We're in an era where everything's on social media, everything's getting recorded, and people are scared to jump out and do things and dare to do stuff because they're scared that it's gonna get posted and people laugh at you and things like that. But the same people who laugh and make funny jokes on social media and stuff never really done anything with their life. So, that's where it's at, because I'm sure, people have things to say and this and that, but I'm sure they wouldn't have the guts to do what I did, come back and fight a quality opponent like Tim Tszyu in his backyard and go a whole turnaround and put on a great show.
Before the opening bell, the sport's biggest voices had already laid out exactly what was at stake. Mike Tyson believed Spence's lack of recent activity could become the deciding factor, while warning that Tszyu's toughness made the matchup extremely dangerous.
I don't know if Spence have enough activity. I would like to see Spence do well, but Tszyu's a tough guy too.
Meanwhile, Paulie Malignaggi thought Tszyu would attack immediately to test Spence before he could settle into the fight. He believed an aggressive opening would expose whether Spence still belonged at the elite level.
I think about the addition of Fennec, and I think about the fact that, Fennec was a really strong-willed man as a fighter, and he seems like he's all about the psychology, right? The mentality of a fighter. If I think about all these things, and I think about what Tim's been lacking, which is, I think, the psychology of a fighter. He's been too technical and not mean enough these couple of fights. I think you see a quick start by Tim Tszyu. I think you see him try to jump on Errol and see what Errol has.
Furthermore, Malignaggi pointed to mentality as a factor equally important as skill, noting how hesitation against an aggressive opponent can carry as much weight as the physical exchanges themselves.
I think Errol would be good himself to try to start fast, just to immerse himself right in there, and that way you're not thinking, you're just going, and then you get yourself into the rhythm of the fight. Because if he doesn't, and Tim does, I think it also tells you a little bit about Errol's mentality as well. Is he having a little bit of doubts? Because remember, Errol was always an aggressive guy. Errol's fighting style was always aggressive. So regardless of the layoff, you would think Errol is going to be Errol, right? If that in and of itself changes, and it's only Tim starting out aggressively, then of course we already know where Errol's head is at, I think.
Roy Jones Jr. emphasized that Spence needed to rely on his full boxing ability rather than pressure alone to handle elite competition like Tszyu.
I'll take him back and make him start watching that, because this is the guy that we need now to beat these elite guys, because we need a guy that can do it all. You understand me? So some of these elite guys, like Bud, pressure ain't gonna be enough.
Yeah, and I've seen Errol switch to orthodox.
Yeah, he can do it all.
Yeah.
He can do it all. Like I said, when you go back and look at his tapes as an amateur, he had the total package.
His point before the opening bells was clear. To get past the elite tier of the division, raw pressure wouldn't be enough, and Spence would need to reach back into a more versatile skill set to prove he still had the complete package required to beat the best.
He's a monster.
You got to make the Olympics. You got to box.
He can do it all, bro. He could do it all, just that he didn't use that in the pro. But he can, because that's where he came from.
Right.
He said, if you were going to tell him something, or you were going to train, what would you tell him? I'll take him back and make him start watching that, because this is the guy that we need now to beat these elite guys, because we need a guy that can do it all. You understand me? So some of these elite guys, like Bud, pressure ain't gonna be enough.
Yeah, and I've seen Errol switch to orthodox.
Yeah, he can do it all.
Yeah.
He can do it all. Like I said, when you go back and look at his tapes as an amateur, he had the total package.
Credentials became a central point of comparison between the two men. Billy noted that both fighters were in the later stages of their careers, but argued that even at half his former self, Spence's resume and experience against elite competition made him a fighter Tszyu couldn't afford to underestimate.
Yeah, mate, look, you got two guys who are on the tail end of their career. I feel that Errol Spence has had his time in the sun. I feel that Tim Tszyu did have a little bit of time in the sun, but you know, they're both obviously coming off. You know, Tim's rebuilding, but Spence is coming off a bad loss. But I really believe that, you know, if Errol Spence at 50% turns up and Tim turns up at 99.5%, it's not enough for him to beat somebody like Errol Spence. That's just my opinion. I feel that Errol Spence has got much better credentials than Tim does.
In addition, Dib addressed Tszyu's career decisions, noting that emotion has sometimes played a bigger role than careful planning, and that rush choices in a fighter's career often carry lasting consequences.
And you may ask me, what do you mean when you say road rage? You know, when you're in a situation and you're in a car and you get into a scuffle with a guy because he did something, that's a road rage moment, right? When you sit back and you're thinking, oh, mate, I wish I never did that, you know? But it's too late, you've already done it. And so I believe all of these decisions that Tim's made have just been road rage decisions. He hasn't really sat back and thought about it, you know what I mean? He hasn't given his time to, you know, when you say Errol Spence has taken 3 years off, maybe Tim needed to take some time off. Not 3 years, maybe he needed to take a year off, reevaluate what he's doing, work out where he's with his family, work out where he's with his uncle.
For his part, Shaddy McCoy discussed the timing of the matchup, framing it as a strategically chosen opportunity for Spence, given Tszyu's recent stretch of results.
I don't like that part, but I do think that if you're gonna come back from that long layoff and then the whooping you got from Terence Crawford, this is the fight you get it at, because Tim got a name and all that, but Tim, his last couple fights, he been getting whooped on too.
Like I told you, he's been knocked out.
He's not a jabroni. I know, but I'm saying is like...
He is a jabroni. Go
I don't
ahead.
want to call him a jabroni. All I'm saying is...
Straight up jabroni.
Errol kept talking about how I'm going to come back when I want to. And I think he found the right time. He took enough breaks, long enough break. He found the right opponent for him to get his confidence back. He's going all the way to Australia, though. And we all know this. Boxing is way better when Errol Spence Jr. is involved.
Absolutely.
Fact.
Similarly, Sean Porter spoke about evolution as part of a boxer's longevity, noting that a style built earlier in a career often needs adjustment against newer competition.
Another thing that came up, he said, you know, how does he fare with everyone now? Ain't nothing but a bunch of sharks. And I said, well, yeah, he's gonna have to become a killer whale now. He's gonna have to do things very methodically in a different way than he's ever had to do.
Building on that, Peter Badel compared the two men's experience against elite opposition, noting the contrast in what each had already faced over their careers, and how that imbalance shaped the pressure heading into the fight.
Tim Tszyu, to me, has never fought anyone like Errol Spence. I mean, I know people are saying Spence is shot, he hasn't fought for 3 years, he's 36 years old, but if you look at the resumes, he's beaten 7 world champions. His amateur record was 135-12, Errol Spence. Just a phenomenal generational talent, top 5 pound-for-pound fighter at one stage of his career, and I think there's nothing that Tim Tszyu will pose that Errol hasn't seen before. Conversely, Tim will see a lot of things that I don't believe he's seen.
Additionally, Badel addressed the stakes specifically for Tszyu, framing the moment as significant for the direction of his career going forward. He noted his own hope for Tszyu's success, while acknowledging the size of the occasion.
And thus, on home soil, the pressure is on Tim Tszyu, because to me, if Tim loses this fight, he has to seriously consider retirement, because I don't know where he goes if he doesn't beat Errol Spence. So, look, I know he's only 31, Tim, but I just feel like in terms of routes and navigations and where you go, I guess very rarely in boxing are you static. You're either on the rise or you're on the decline, and if Tim can't win this, then I think it's almost over for him. But I really hope he can win. My heart says he can do it, but my head says that Errol Spence's best is still better than Tim Tszyu's best, and that's what Tim has to conquer. That's why the pressure's on him.
Behind the scenes, Ronnie Shields revealed that he had intentionally pushed Spence through brutal training camps to prove he was still capable of competing at the highest level. Passing that test convinced Shields the comeback was real.
Errol Spence is in great shape. You know, I told him from the very first day he called me, I say, the first week I'm gonna put you through hell. And if you can handle that, then man, you have a deal that I'll train you. And we did. I put him through hell, and he handled it very well.
Recent activity has been a real factor going in. Barry pointed to Tszyu's pair of 10-round outings as a genuine edge, arguing that having those rounds banked mattered in a high-stakes matchup to be sharp.
You know, that's why I fancy Tim Tszyu. Activity, I mean, he's had 2 10-round fights, 2 wins since his terrible loss to Fundora. And he looked pretty good. He didn't look exhilarating, I won't say that, and he didn't smash them, but they were both pretty reasonable opponents with good records, durable. So Tim's got the rounds under his belt, and I reckon that's going to be the most important thing, especially, look, I really don't think it'll go far, 5-6 rounds maximum, I reckon. Someone's going to go, for sure. And I think it'll be Errol Spence. I think he'll get caught, and Timmy can punch.
Finally, closing out the build-up, Stephen Fulton believed the showdown represented a career-defining moment for both men, rather than a routine comeback. He argued that losing to elite champions should never erase a fighter's reputation, but boxing often judged harshly after one setback.
He has a good career. This is like a do-or-die fight for him as well, though. You know, so and I feel like the same as for me, like a do-or-die fight.
I'm not sure how much you followed Tim Tszyu's career, but obviously that loss to Fundora and, you know, Buckram, he sort of challenged the top. He's only lost to the top, you know, the world champions. Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, when people are like, this is a do-or-die fight, we're like, yeah, we lost the world champions. Yeah. It's not like we just losing to anybody.
Now that the fight had come and gone, attention immediately turned to what came next for both men. Questions swirled around Spence's contract status and whether premier boxing champions or a streaming partner would dictate his next move. Meanwhile, for Tszyu, speculation centered on whether he would stay at 154 pounds or push for a rematch clause, and whether his team would target another marquee name to keep his momentum alive. So where do Spence and Tszyu go from here? And who do you want to see either man face next?